Hey, it's Okie Dingo. So today I'm going to be reviewing eXtremeRate's newest kit. This is the RISE4 Real Metal Button version Plus MAX back paddle kit for the PS5 controller. So this kit's going to add back paddles plus Clicky Trigger Stops. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, so let's do an unboxing. This is what the front of the box looks like. This is the newer eXtremeRate design. I think it looks really nice. Versus the old boxes that used to just be plain cardboard. You can see it says play different. This side has RISE4 remap kit for the PS5 controller. Another play different. Then just some words about the company and whatnot. Then on the back, this is just the regulatory information, one-stop esports gaming equipment modding solution. That's, I guess, their little slogan for eXtremeRate. All right, so let's get into the actual unboxing. So the one that I picked is the black on black back shell. See it here? Let me open it. And this is a rubberized grip right here. And then the black shell, it is just regular plastic. It's not like the soft touch, which I really appreciate that because I did not like the soft touch on their kind of older ones. There is also a white with gray grips and a white with black grips. Those are the choices right now. Next we have, this is the trigger stop mechanism. Then these are the metal back buttons. So these are your paddles for the side, and then these are going to be the actual buttons in the middle. And then this is the part that attaches to the back of the controller and houses the little PCB board. So this is going to be the PCB right here. This is a little LED window, some Kapton tape. These little squares, if you can see, they go in the corners of the actual motherboard, and some other foam spacers. Then in here is the ribbon cables. So this is going to be for the trigger stops here, and then this is the one that goes onto the main board. Then as always, you get a spudger, a screwdriver, and a bunch of extra screws that you can use. Some of these are for putting on the actual back plate, and then other ones are if you wanted to replace the stock screws with new ones. I normally just use the screws that came out of the controller. These are some little foam pieces. I believe these go on the back of the clicky part just to make it less noisy, I believe. Or actually, no, sorry. I know exactly what these are. These are shims, so when you're doing the clicky button, if it's not quite right, you can add these shims to make sure that it clicks at the right distance. And then it just comes with a little manual here, which is not much of a manual, to be honest. It just talks about the company, thank you for choosing them. The first thing I took out of the box, always comes in the box, is this is your warranty. Get a 1-year warranty. Follow them on social media. Share a photo, blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to give you the 1-year warranty. In my experience, eXtremeRate's warranty is extremely good. If you tell them you have a problem, they're going to help you out. And then on the box right here, you will see this is the QR code, and this links you to eXtremeRate's installation guide, which I'll also have a link to that down in the description if you'd like to watch theirs. All right, with that aside, let's get into the installation. All right, so this is going to be the controller that I'm going to be installing the kit on today. This is the it's a brand new Dualsense controller. This is a silver color, and it is a BDM050. Make sure when you're getting the kit that you know exactly what model controller you have. So they're going to be grouped by BDM 010 and 020, and then 030, 040, and 050. They're going to be different kits because of the way that the ribbon cables work. So just make sure that you know what kind of controller you have. And on eXtremeRate's page, they have a way of showing you One way is to kind of scan this QR code right here, or you can look at the serial number, and I believe it's the second number in there. We'll show you which one. They talk about it on their site. There's also ways that you can look inside here. It's going to be hard to see, but the way that the springs and whatnot go. And on their site, they show you exactly how to look at it without having to open the controller. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the spudger that came with our kit, and we're going to remove this portion of the controller. Normally I just kind of pull forward with my hand and then just push. So finger right here, push, and then push forward. And then it should just pop off. All right, so next we're going to take the screws out of the bottom here, 1, 2, and then you want to pop the L1 and R1 buttons off, and then that's going to be screw 3 and screw 4. So let's get those unscrewed. All right, so we'll take the screws out. Put them aside. There's only a couple screws, so it should be pretty easy to keep track of where the screws came from. And like I said, I'm going to reuse these same exact screws. Instead of using the new ones, I don't really see any reason to, unless you were to screw one up when you were taking it out. Okay, and then from there you will see a couple clips here and there. And what you want to do is you want to use the spudger. I kind of put my finger here, my thumb here, and I'm kind of pulling it apart, as you can see. And then at the same time, I just lift up that clip. So if you see, I lifted that clip up right there. Then just kind of gently go to the other side, because you don't want it to clip again, and then lift this one. At that point, the back plate is unclipped, and then you can just open it up at this point. Give it a little bit of force. There's some clips over here that are usually just a little bit difficult. Don't worry, you're not going to break it. Now we're going to put our back shell apart. We are not going to use this again because we're going to be replacing it. Alright, so now that we have our back shell apart, now we're going to take out the battery and then disconnect some of the wires. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is disconnect the battery. So just pull up, get your fingers and pinch right next to where this connector is, and just lightly wiggle it out. Alright, then we'll take out this one screw right here. And the microphone right here, you can just kind of slide it out of the way. See, or you can actually pull it out. Either way, you're going to have to take it out anyway. So we'll put that off to the side. Now this bracket should just come off. Then you're going to, if you got the microphone out of the way, you're going to pull that. You got to pull this ribbon cable right here, pull these two, and then pull this one. So let's go ahead and do that. So that one's out of the way. Sometimes it gets unlatched here, which later on you can just latch it back on again. So don't worry about that. Then we'll do the two side ones. Just pull up on them, pull up, and then this one pull out. If for whatever reason you can't get these out, you can use tweezers. So like this one is being a little bit difficult. You can use some tweezers. Just grab this tab right here, and you should be able to wiggle it out, or you can kind of go on these tabs here and just wiggle it out like that. So now that we have those tabs, then we're going to install the main board and the board that goes right here. Alright, so next we're actually going to do the soldering part, because that's the order that eXtremeRate has on their guide. So this part is not required if you don't know how to solder or don't own a soldering iron. But by soldering, doing this step, you're going to be able to map the L3, R3, and also you're going to have rumbles for the motors. If you don't do this step, you won't have those. For when you do the trigger stops, you wouldn't have rumble. Alright, so what I like to do first is I like to just put a little bit of flux on the spots that we're going to be working with, which is this green wire here. Just put a little bit on there. And the green wire over here. Alright, and then next we're going to use some tweezers. You're going to grab that wire. I have my iron set to 350. And all you should have to do is just touch it on there for a second. And pull the wire off. And we'll go to this side. Do the same thing. I'm using quite a small tip. You can use a bigger tip. It's up to you. Then we take that wire off. So now we have both our green wires. We're just going to set those aside, as you should be able to see. We'll go here. So next what we're going to do is we're going to grab the soldering board. That's going to be this one. And you'll notice that it depends on what model controller you have. So I have a 050, so I'm going to follow those holes. If you had a 030 or 040, you would follow those guide holes. So you're going to solder either these ones or these ones. And then as well that one that says R3. You'll do the ground, L3, and then this one for all the different models. And then we will attach the green wires to where it says RM0 and LM0 over there. So what you want to do is you want to line it up. So that 050 is my model. So I'm going to line that up with right where I took that green wire off. Right here, I took that green wire off. Took the green wire off there. I'm actually going to just tin these spots a little bit because there's not a lot of solder on them and it's not very even. Alright, so got my solder. Just tin the spot real quick. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Alright, then we're going to sit the board on top. We're going to tape it in place. So 050. And you'll notice that everything kind of lines up when you put it on there. So if you see these two spots on the top, put it into place. Where it says R3, and then you should see two spots right above it, those solder points. They're all going to line up on this board. So what you want to do is just get everything lined up and then get a piece of tape. I'm just going to use some Kapton tape. And I'm going to tape it in place. Any type of tape is fine because this is just going to be temporary. Then make sure everything is lined up on this side. You can kind of bend this out of the way. Once everything lines up with those spots, same thing. Just tape it into place. I'm actually going to put one more just up here so it doesn't try to move on me. Okay, so as you can see now, I have it taped in place. We're going to solder wherever these gold points are. So this R3 050 for me. Move that out of the way. If you had a 03 or 04, you would be soldering that spot. And then same over here, the ground, and then those ones. So I'm going to put again, touch of flux on each one of those spots. And right here. And then we're going to tin our tip with some solder. And then you're just going to solder that spot. If it wants to come up, you can just use your tweezers to push the board down. There it goes. So it just kind of flopped down as I was doing it. Get a little bit more solder. Get this spot here. Same, I'm just going to get my tweezers, put it kind of next to the spot, and you should feel it kind of pop down into place. And that means that your connection is going to be good. Okay, so solder the ground. Again, push on it. Should feel it fall down, and then you're good. Next, the L3 right here. Push on a little bit. Fell down. And then the last one is going to be over here. All right, and then next what we're going to do is I'm going to tin this spot over here and this spot here. Once again, just a little bit of flux. That's where our green wires are going to go. So here and here. All right, get a little bit of solder. In that spot, and in that spot, and then what we'll do is we'll grab our tweezers and we're going to put them into place, and then we'll just solder them on. Okay. Alright, so now all of the soldering is done. You can check the spots. This one is lifted up a little bit, so I'm just going to press it down and just put the soldering iron on it one more time. For whatever reason, it just doesn't want to sit down good. Alright, that should be fine. So now everything is soldered, everything looks good. You can just kind of check it real quick by doing a little lift check. If they don't lift up, then they are soldered correctly, which all of these are. So at this point, you will remove the Kapton tape. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to install this piece right here. Sorry. The interface is the motherboard with the actual chip. And then we're also going to do this, which what this does is now you no longer have to wire in the touchpad. You just use this as an interface. All right, let's go to that. All right, so I forgot to mention, if you are using flux, make sure you clean off the flux. You don't want to leave it on there. And I highly suggest that you do use flux. So just use some isopropyl alcohol to clean the flux off. All right, now we got that all cleaned off. We can go to the next step, which is adding in those boards that I said. So what you want to do from here, make sure that all those ribbons were disconnected, which they should be because we did that before. And then you're just going to pull the board up and flip it over like so. And what that's going to do is that's going to expose these contacts here and also this ribbon cable here. Sometimes your speaker's going to fall off right here. Mine's on there pretty good. Sometimes it'll stay in there. Just make sure that you put it back on in the same exact orientation that it came off, because there's some contacts right here. If not, the speaker will not work. Alright, so first we're going to grab this board right here, and what we're going to do is tape side up. You'll see that there's a circle here. If I can get focus, there's a circle here and an oval here. It doesn't really want to focus too well, but they are going to coincide with the circle peg here and the oval peg here. And what you want to do is line them up and then just push them down. And they kind of have a little spiky part on there. It's like a gold contact, and that will keep it in place. So once you've lined it up, that's good. And then you can go ahead and put this board on. So make sure that the tab right here by my finger is flipped up. As you can see, it's flipped up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put it in this way. And you'll just slide this in. Hopefully you can see that. So you should be able to see I slid this one on right here. And then make sure you close that door. Alright, next, you're just going to flip this over. And make sure when you put it back that all these little ribbon cables are not getting jammed underneath. This one right here for the little microphone always wants to get stuck. So make sure you just flip that up. And then you can pop the board into place. It's going to want to keep flopping up until we get the screw in over here. So there we go. Alright, now everything's out of place. Okay, so next what we're going to do is just assemble the board. Alright, so with our board in place, we can start putting in all our ribbon cables back on. So, got the microphone on. We got the left trigger over here. Some of these cables are a little bit small. If you can't get them in by hand, just use some tweezers to help you out. Okay. That one goes in a little bit wonky. Yeah, and then this one up here, you're going to turn this, if you can see, this board, and then you're going to stick it in like this. Alright, in like that. And then next what we are going to do is in these, make sure this is out of the way, in the four corners there's these little rubber pieces, and what you're going to do is you're going to put one in each corner. So up this corner, that corner, bottom corners. And yeah, so what you're going to want to do is grab some tweezers for this, and you'll just do them one by one. So first one up in this corner right here. Press that down. Next one in this bottom corner. And stay. Yep. Push down. The other bottom corner. Try to get them as straight as possible. And then the top corner. And the adhesive is quite strong on these. So they're actually kind of hard to reposition if you don't get it quite in the right spot. Alright, so now that everything is in place and we have everything connected that we took off, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our battery tray and we're going to put it back into its place right here, and then we'll put in the one screw that we took out. Okay, and don't forget the little microphone. That will slot in, and then you just kind of slot it under. And then it should sit nicely into its little spot right there. So we got that one installed. Don't forget this one, and it has its own little clip right there. Just make sure that's clipped on and that that's installed. Everything is installed. Now we can put our battery on. So it's going to, it's only going to fit one way. Then the wires kind of sit underneath this tab right here. Then the battery should sit into its spot. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to put on the main board and then attach everything to it. Alright, so what we're going to do next is pull this off right here, this little bit of double-sided tape. See if I can get it. There it goes. And then what you want to do is, you'll see the shape of this board. So see how it's rounded on the bottom here? You want this to go and match up with the battery. So as you can see, I stuck it down where it goes in line with the battery here, and then right here. That's going to be the best place for it, and then just push it down. Try to avoid pushing down on the these little black connectors because you don't want to break them off. So just give it a nice little press going around it. Okay, next you want to open up this battery door, or this little door here and this door here. Be gentle with these. I was actually modding a switch yesterday and I knocked one of these off. So just be really gentle when you open them up. It's very difficult to get them back on. So what you want to do is, this one has double-sided tape on it, but it's not necessary to take it off, and I'll show you why in a second. So when you put it in, it's not really, if you see there's a gap there, it's not really sticking to anything, and there's really no reason for it. So go ahead and put that in and close the door. And then next we're going to be doing this one right here. So you'll grab the board that we soldered on. If you did not do the soldering, you just skip this step. And then we're going to stick it in there. Like so. Once it's all the way in, you should kind of feel it bottom out. Then we close that door. It's always good to just give it a, like a little tug just to make sure that the connector's in. You don't have to yank it, but just give it a little tug. Alright, so at this point, everything that we need to do on this board is, or this side of the controller is done. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the trigger stops and the backboard on the back plate. Alright, so next we're going to grab this little kit right here, and specifically we're going to grab this piece. Then we're going to grab our paddles. And then you're going to grab 2 bars. They're going to look like this. these little bars. And what we're going to want to do is kind of lay these out exactly where they go. This is K2, this is K1. You'll see it says K1 and K2. And what we'll do is you stick these through here, these bars, like so. Hopefully you can see that. Stick the bar in there. Oh, that one just fell out. Then we'll put the other one in. And then what we're going to be doing is putting them into these slots right here. They're kind of like a clip. Make sure it's fairly centered. And then you'll just kind of push it down. If it is a little bit off center, you can just kind of move it over. If it's too off center, that actually will not click in place. So as you should see there, I've put this one into place. And then we'll put the next one in place, like that. Alright, so next what we're going to do is you're going to grab your back plate here. And this is going to sit right here like that. So you just make sure it's going to sit. And then what you do is you turn it over. And you'll grab the screws out of the kit. These little black screws, they're a little bit more coarse than the other ones. And you're going to stick them into each one of these holes and screw them in. So the 4 holes, you should be able to see exactly which ones they are. This one here, and then you're just going to screw them in. Remember, these are plastic, so you just need to screw them in till they're in and then stop. Don't keep screwing because it's just going to strip it out. So as soon as it gets a little bit firm, that's it. You're done. Okay. Like I said, you don't need any more, so just make sure once you feel a little bit of tension, you don't need to do anything else. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to do the trigger stop portion with the board, and then we're going to also install them in here. Alright, so next we're going to do the Clicky Trigger Stops. So this is where this kit differs from all the other kits that I have ever installed from the eXtremeRate sets. So, alright, let's do it. So first what we're going to do is we're going to grab this 3M tape and we're going to put it on the back of here, like so, and on the back of this one, like so. Alright, then we're going to grab these pieces right here. And if you notice there's a slot right here where the one part of the trigger stop's going to go, and then over here there's 2 little nubs. They're probably really hard to see. There's 2 little nubs, and that's where these little nubs on this board are going to sit. It'll make sense when I show it to you. So basically you want to make sure that this block part is going to sit inside here like that. Let's get it to focus. So it's going to sit inside this groove right here. And in turn, when that sits in there, you'd be able to fold this down, and then those tabs that you can see, those little holes, are going to be where those little holes on this part are going to sit in. So what we'll do is we will pull this the backing tape off. Hopefully it comes off alright. Sometimes this 3M tape is pretty hard to get started. There you go. Just flip it real hard. So what you want to do is you're going to put it into that slot. All right, and then you're going to push forward. So now the double-sided tape is going to adhere it to that portion. Then on the back of here, there's also some double-sided tape, which is pre-installed. And we're just going to get that off. All right. And then what we're going to do is flip the board and put those little pegs in there. So when you're done with it, this is going to sit here, and the two little pegs are going to go into the hole, so it can only go into one place. And then this one is going to be pressed against the back of that plate. So then we're going to do the same exact thing for this side. Try to get this tape backing off. And then while we're here, I'm just going to take this one off as well. All right, so with that off, same as the other one. In focus, we're going to stick it in here, kind of put it in at an angle, and then when it's all the way down, then just push back. So put it all the way in, and then just push back, and then flip it over a little bit, this one. Make sure that the posts line up, and then just push it down. Push down on this one again. Okay, so as you should be able to see, the posts line up. This one's in place. This one lines up and it's in place. All right, and next we are going to put the trigger stops into place. So grab your little trigger stop. It's only going to go in one way, I believe. All right, so there's one. Yep, so that one is in that place, and then this one is in this place. If you try to put it in the other way, let's just try. It shouldn't even make sense. All right, so if I try to put it in this way, you can see like it just doesn't match up. So I'll put it in this way. Put this one in here. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to grab this board and we're going to assemble it into the back shell. Alright, so with our trigger stop little assembly all put together, we're going to put it onto the back shell. So we're going to grab our back shell and we're going to grab 6 of these screws right here. These are the little stubby ones. And with the ribbon cable down, we're going to slot these into place. When you look at it, it can only go in one way. You're going to put them in place and then push down till you hear a click. Put this one in place. Make sure this ribbon cable is up because you don't want to pinch it. And you should hear, you heard it kind of push into place. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put the 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 right under this ribbon cable. Alright, so I'm going to put them all in, the little stubby screws. Once again, you are screwing into plastic, so you do not need to over tighten these at all. You just need to put them in until they stop. If you're using the screwdriver that eXtremeRate gives you, it's a little bit small in my opinion, but it'll work. Make sure that you are pushing down. You kind of push it in your palm and you're pushing down and just giving it good pressure so you don't strip out the screw. I'm using the iFixit kit. It's the kit that I use for everything for electronics. I absolutely love it. Okay, one more. Underneath this ribbon cable, just kind of push it out of the way. You don't want to pinch the cable. So pull it out of the way and then put it in. Okay, so now that all 6 screws are in place, what we're going to do is you're going to fold this cable down like that. And what eXtremeRate says to do is to test it out before connecting everything, because you might have to shim this. So if you see when I put the trigger stop out, there's this little tab. In some instances you might need to add some little shims that they give you. They're just these little stick-on shims, and it would just to be move it out in case it wasn't connecting quite right. So when you're putting on this back plate, make sure these are in the neutral spots. That's going to be all the way in. And then we're going to put the back plate on. So you're going to get this ribbon cable, pop it up and put it through the hole. And then it's just going to push in the top here. And then we're going to put it together. We're going to put it all the way together because you want to simulate the controller being assembled when you try this out. So now what we're going to do is you're going to push the trigger stops over, and then you're going to test them out. Yep, and they're working great. Now, if you felt like the throw was too far, you wanted to tighten it up a little bit so it goes smaller, that's when you could use those shims as well. For me, I think that feels great. They both feel exactly the same. Alright, so what we're going to do is take the controller back apart, and then we're going to assemble the rest of the boards. Alright, so here's the back plate. I have it taken off. I actually added the shims so I could show you, and I actually like it better. So you can see that's what the shim looks like when it's installed. It just sticks on the end of that little tab. And it did shorten it up just a little bit, and I do like it. So yeah, if you notice, pretty much it's just going to make it a little bit shorter because it's pushing up just a little bit more. Yeah, so I'm actually going to keep them on. So next what we're going to do is we're going to get ready for the final installation. So now that I'm happy with the way that the shims and the way it feels. So you're going to get this ribbon cable, and this is going to go into this clamp right here. Alright, so you're going to open that clamp up. You're going to want to put this underneath this one. It's going to be a little bit difficult to show this, but I will put it together and then I will show you. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be extremely fiddly to get this in. Trying to get the right angle. Alright, so I got that in now. Should be able to see that that ribbon cable was into that empty slot. Then what you want to do is just kind of move this to the side like that. And then you're going to grab this Kapton tape. You're going to peel one off and you're going to stick it on top of this board. So take one of these off and just stick it right on top over all those connections. I'm guessing this is just going to make sure that everything stays in place. Alright, so next you're going to grab that ribbon cable and you're going to stick it through the slot like this. And then you're going to make sure the trigger stops are in. Don't try to close it with them out. So it's going to be in what they call the neutral position. And then we're going to put everything, snap it all the way together. And then we will just try it out one more time, our trigger stops. And they feel great. They're exactly the same. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we are going to put in the backboard here. So for me, this ribbon cable is just sticking up a little bit, so I'm just going to just kind of push it down. Yeah, I just kind of don't like the way it's curling. So I'm just going to push it down in there. As you can see, it's right there. Just kind of down and out of the way. Alright, so yep, next we're going to put the back button portion on, which is going to be the module, and then at that point we're all done and we can get to testing it. Alright, so next we're going to grab this little board here, and you'll notice this has the same little door right here. You flip it up, and you're going to put it in this way, so this pointing towards the controller. Stick the ribbon cable in, it's all the way in, close the door, just give it a little tug, make sure it's there. And then now you're going to get this ribbon cable and kind of fold it, as you can see, like that. And then you'll see that there's a circle nub here, kind of an offset oval one, and then there's the two screw holes there. So as you can see, they line up with this board. So you want to stick it in the bottom first, and then the top. So these will line up, and then we can put our screws in. So the screws you're going to use are going to be these really tiny thin screws. And for the final time, plastic on plastic, so gentle. So you're going to screw these in. Till the bottom's out, and then you're going to stop. And that's it. You don't have to torque it down. As long as it's stopping, it's good. You can give your paddles just a little quick check to make sure that they are actuating, which they are. Now you can put the controller off to the side for a moment, and then you're going to grab this plate right here. And then now we're going to do a little bit of a prep to it. So essentially, this thing can make some rattling noise. So we're going to put a couple little pieces of foam right on these edges. If you're okay with this rattling noise, you don't have to do this step, but I don't see why you wouldn't, essentially. First we're going to put in the button right in the middle here. As you can see, I know it's black, so everything's kind of difficult to see on this one. And then you're going to grab a piece of the foam tape, and you're just going to stick it over the top. So actually one of these ones. So you'll have these two little pieces of foam. And what you'll do is you'll just stick it right over the top where that nub is. This is going to help keep it in place. And also kind of soften up the when you push it. So as you can see right there. So then next what we're going to do is get the this one right here. And there's going to be a bunch of individual pieces. And we're going to stick them in. So you're going to stick one here, and then one down here. You don't want to cover this hole. That's a reset hole. So yeah, we'll put them there, and then I'll show you what to do after that. If I can get it into place. Okay, and you don't want it like sticking all the way through the button side, but you want to kind of just push it so it's kind of sticking over. It's kind of hard to explain, but it'll kind of slot in until it stops. Then you're in the right spot. This kit actually came with some bigger ones than what they were showing. So it looks like you only have to put one up here, probably one here, one down here, and down here. Like I say, it's a lot bigger. Their ones were about half the size. Oh, actually, sorry, I misspoke. There's actually some small ones up the top. So I will take this this one long one off, and we'll redo it real quick. So they give you plenty of extras. So yeah. All right. So you're gonna do a little one here, little one here, little one here, long one here, little one, little one. Is the way that's gonna work. Get this glue off of here. Okay, so you can see little one. And it's going to go all the way up here. Like that. And you're going to have it pushed forward all the way till right here. I know it's very hard to see on the black. And we'll do another one here. I'm going to push it in. I'm going to get it to stick and get off my tweezers. And then we can kind of just push it forward a little bit with your spudger. Make sure that it's all the way underneath. And then, yeah, I should be able to slot a long one over here. So we'll do that. Yeah. A long one in. And then we'll go to the other side. And like I said, we're going to put a short one here, here, and here. These are super sticky, so they want to stick to the tweezers. Okay, so there's one all the way in. And I like that eXtremeRate always gives you a lot of extras on these. Same as like screws, they give you a bunch extra in case you mess them up. We'll put that right up here. There's a bunch of grease right here, so just be careful. Like this one doesn't want to stick quite well. It's going to be fine. And then I'm going to stick one down here. If I can get one in, we'll see. I think I can. Okay, so yeah, I got it in without blocking the hole. This one up here, I'm actually just going to stick it in a little bit farther because it doesn't look like it's all the way in. I'll actually just grab a new one. Okay, so it's very hard to get this one in. I'll try to push it in with the spudger. All right, so that looks good. As you can see here, 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 and on this side. And then what they tell you to do is grab your spudger, stick it in the gap right here, and then just kind of run it across. What this is going to do is it's going to just force down and push down on those and just kind of form like a groove in them. And there we go. We're just going to push down on it. Because once you put these on, it's going to be hard to, you know, do this kind of pulling up motion. So yeah. And then now those are good. So now when these are on, it's not going to rattle like crazy like it was before. Next we want to put this little window in. Just stick it in. There's little nubs that's kind of gonna go in and then push down at the same time. Now we can see that's in that little window. And then on our controller, you're gonna go bottom side first. Bottom side, latch it on, and then make sure we're in the right spot. Yep, right there. Then we're going to push on the top when I can get it in place. If I can get it lined up. Okay. Just don't want to, I don't want to force it. Okay. Try maybe the top first. Okay, so do the top edge first and then go down. As you can see, I already went into the mapping mode. So let's get that off. Okay, actually we're in programming mode. Okay, so now that it is all the way installed, let's run through how to use the kit. And yeah, so I just want to show you that everything is working. So the trigger stops. And then you have your back buttons. And there's no like metal rattling from these. There's nothing rattling on it. The only thing you can hear is just these rattling around. But there's no like metal clanking. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to go through and then I'll show you how to do the programming mode of this one to program the buttons to the kit, how to go through the different profiles and whatnot. Alright, now that the whole kit has been installed, the last thing to do is just finish up the assembly. So that's going to be put the 4 screws back in, the bottom corners and the top corners, put on the 2 bumpers and the little faceplate. So let's do that real quick. Grab our screw. Remember, one goes up here. Then one on the other side. And then the 2 in the bottom, which is going to be right there and right there. All right. All right, then we put on the bumpers, so you can just look on there. You'll see like this one says R1, and then the other one's going to say L1. They kind of have a little flat part right here, and that will slide into this it's kind of hard to see, but there is a flatter kind of part right there, and it'll just go straight in. So just line that up, and then when it's lined up, just push it in. And it should click into place. Same on the other side. Line it up, push in, and then it should work normal. On the front plate, you grab these 2 little corners here, and you're going to stick them in here and here, kind of down at an angle. At the same time, the sticks are going to kind of move forward, and then you just push in and kind of down. And they should go in. Sometimes it fits in a little bit weird, but it'll get there eventually. Then on these parts, you want to lift up a little bit because there's a tab, if you can see, that has to slot in. So you don't want it to sit on top, so you just kind of push down as you're putting it in. So push down and it should go into place. Same on here, push down and then just push around. And make sure everything is clamped into place, which it is. Alright, so to use the actual back button portion of this and to do the programming, you have to sync up to your PlayStation or plug it into a computer because it has to have power. If not, what will happen is you'll just get that like 1 minute of power when you push the button and it's kind of looking for the console and doesn't find it, and then it'll just turn off. So turn it on. I have it synced to my PlayStation 5 and now we're on. And now you can see the kit is on profile 1. So blue is going to be profile 1. If you double click the button, you're going to go to the next profile, which is going to be green. Double click again. It's like a teal color. It might look similar to the blue, but it's in person you can see it's like a blue-green. Push it again and you have this purple color. Push it one more time and you see that there's no light. That means that the kit is disabled. So right now none of the buttons would work. So let's go back to profile 1, which is going to be blue. From here, just like any of the other eXtremeRate kits, you're going to hold down the button for 5 seconds and you see that it is blinking. At this point, now you're in programming mode. What you'll do is you'll hold down whichever K button, so this is K1, 2, 3, and 4, or the back buttons, and you'll hold that and the one that you want to program it to. So if I want to program K1 to, let's say, R1, hold down K1, press R1 and watch the light. You notice that it blinked really fast, red. That means that that button is programmed to this paddle. If it blinks slowly, that means you unprogrammed it. So I'll do it on this one. I'll push it, push this. You notice it's blinking slowly. So that means that now this paddle is not programmed. I took that R1 off of that. So it's going to be the same for all of them. So the K3, one to hold that and then hold down. You saw it went fast. K4, hold down, goes fast. I can do K2 to, let's say, the touchpad. Goes fast. You can do to the triggers. Let's just say I wanted this on a trigger. Like that. So once you're happy with everything that you programmed to this, what you do is you're going to hold this button down again until it stops blinking. Okay, now it stopped blinking, so I am on profile 1 and everything I have synced to here is going to work now. If that light is still blinking, you haven't taken yourself out of programming mode, the buttons aren't going to work because it needs to be into like this mode right here. All right, and then I will show the trigger stops. Hopefully you can hear it. And they feel great. They're really, really short. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into a game real quick and I'm going to show you how the trigger stops work and how the back buttons work. All right, so I'm going to show you how to use this kit in game. Here I am in Destiny 2 on my PlayStation 5. This would be exactly the same if you were on PC. The kit will work the same. There's still not going to be any delay or anything like that. So I have the face buttons here programmed to the back paddles. So if you notice when I push this one, my character jumps. And it is exactly the same as when I'm pushing the face button. Same here, if I push, that's circle. There is no difference whatsoever. This is for, you know, changing my weapon, triangle, and then this is square. So everything works absolutely perfect. There feels great. Where these sit in the hand is so good. So if you've never used the back button kits from eXtremeRate, they sit exactly where your fingers sit. You still have to give a bit of pressure to click them down, but you're not going to click them by accident. Like on the Dualsense Edge, I felt like resting my finger on that paddle, I was just going to push it so easily. This kit is not like that. And then to push the other ones, you just move your fingers in, and then you can push the, K3 and K4. So they're not in an awkward spot at all. It's just a matter of putting your finger up from the regular paddles, and it sits exactly where it feels comfortable. As I said before, my favorite part of this kit has to be the trigger stops. I absolutely love that eXtremeRate added these. They're extremely short, as you can see, and I love how they click. And because we soldered the green wire to the board inside earlier, now I'm going to have the vibration. So if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have vibration, which actually, honestly, I always turn vibration off. I only turned it on to try it out, but I still want the feature there, even if I'm not going to use it, if that makes sense. It's better to have the feature and not use it than not have it and want it at some point. Also, this kit made it very easy to program the touchpad now. You used to have to take the controller all the way apart until here, disassemble the touchpad, and then solder a wire to it. And then you'd have to kind of fish the wire through and then solder it on here. So it's nice that they added that connector for people that don't want to solder. The only functionality you would miss out on is the L3 and R3, which personally I can't think of a game where I would program them. And in the many years that I've been using controllers like the eXtremeRate ones, I have never once programmed these buttons. But I have the ability to do it, which is nice. So yeah, I love the feel of the controller. The rubber feels awesome on the back. eXtremeRate did such an excellent job with this controller. I've reviewed plenty of their products over the years, all the RISE kits. So essentially this is the same familiar RISE kit from the other ones, but they added the amazing trigger stops. So I highly suggest this controller mod. eXtremeRate's kits are very, very high quality if you've never used them before. You can see any of my past reviews, lots of comments on my videos of other people that have used it. So eXtremeRate did send this kit out to me, but they are not watching this video. They don't send me any money for making these videos. I just absolutely love the products that they make. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I do lots of reviews on mainly has been controllers, but I do a lot of video game related stuff. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you in a future video. See ya.